can now say, this is what we want in government. This is what needs to have happen, to have so many people immobilized to create history in counting votes, people to immobilize in creating history, young people stepping up to vote because they understand the role that history is going to play in their life, and they have a voice, and their voice is actionable. And that's kind of what I feel about you as well in the journey that you've been on, and not only your journey, but the journey that you're willing to take other women on to help them get to their space and their place and journey on their journey, but not just get somewhere, but to be able to enact a leadership role of responsibility of what they want in life. And I really salute you for that. And I'm just going to give you the floor, girl, because they need to hear from you some more. Come on.
Well, one of the things I would say, we're talking about a very big macro level issue. We talk about the change that need to happen in government. But we can drill that down for ourselves individually.
Yes, ma'am.
And when we think about the changes that are available in our own lives, I always like to talk through a model, and I call it the 4F model. When we have difficult times in our lives, and I'll give you an example of how this happened for me, we have to, first of all, find the fear, right? What are we afraid of, and how do we move towards that? Because that's where the gold is. When we understand and unpack what we're fearful of, that's when we see our maximum growth.
Right.
We have to facilitate that change and not fight it. It's so easy to hang on to what we've always known, what we've always done, but that's not where the growth lies. So we have to find that fear, facilitate and not fight it. Then we have to focus on the big picture. So often we get caught up in the loss. We get very myopic about change, and we think only of what we're losing instead of the bigger picture of what we can gain. And then really fine-tuning the value and the authenticity that we bring to the table of what the possibilities are. And so let me talk a little bit about that. At a point in my career, I accepted a role that I absolutely hated. Okay. And the reason for that was I had spent 2 years working on a project. I had gone into that project with the understanding that after the 2 years, I would have to find a new job opportunity. So when a job came up, it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but like I always tell ladies, the babies had to eat, right? So I got to feed the babies. I was the breadwinner in my family. My husband and I have a great relationship, and he really focused on being at home, helping to raise our kids full time while I grew my career. And so it was my job to find the next opportunity. I took that role against my inner authentic voice. I was thinking small, thinking I have to take this job, totally forgetting the fact that I had capabilities to find other jobs that better suited my skill set. Totally threw that out the door. I was working from a place of fear. Okay. And I took that role, hated it, absolutely hated it. And we had an opportunity to, as often happens in corporate America, rethink our organization because we needed to cut some of the costs down. And so instead of saying, hey, you can eliminate my role and freeing myself to go on and find other opportunities, I made up all kinds of bogus reasons why my job needed success.
Yes.
And eventually, during the course of the conversation as a team, someone spoke up and raised the elephant in the room and said, hey, you know what? I think Tracey's role and function could be collapsed with another one. And there was my opportunity, Debra. I said, absolutely.
That's it. And
I could eliminate my job. You could combine my organization with another, and I would be freed up. And when I leaned into the fear of it and said, I'm afraid that I am not enough, that's what it really was. That I didn't have the skill set or the capabilities or enough to go find the next opportunity.
Well, the thing
when I faced that fear, everything changed.
And you know what? And the thing is, we have to lean in, like you just said. And if we want change, we have to lean into socioeconomic change. We have to be able to be responsible on a level of who we are as self. You can't go running, many of us talk about change, and what you did was socioeconomic change. And you really, what, like, when people are immobilizing the way that they are now, and more people are stepping into entrepreneurship and they're tapping into what they're really great at, what they're good at, what they contribute to, then we start to see social economic changes. And we don't just see them as this just change. It's economic. And we can either look at social societies that progress. We can either progress, we can become stagnant, or we can regress. We can do one of those things, and we could look at it as a regional economy or a global economy. And what's really happening when we look at it all together, people are immobilizing in different ways, but it's all, and everybody's contributing, but what it's all doing is becoming a global impact, because everybody all over the world is saying we want change now. We won't change, and people are like yourself. They're stepping up to the change, and I salute you, and I applaud you, and I love what you're doing. I just want you to keep going with this story, because your story is so true, and the audience can listen to a point of view, and that became actionable, that someone just said, I'm going to step out, and I'm going to do me, and it became Wild Hair. And so it's a beautiful title, but it's more to it than just the title. It's what you did that makes Wild Hair so beautiful. So without giving everything away, what else do you want to share on this journey? Because I'm loving it. Keep going, sister girl.
You're right about the title. I mean, it's a catchy title. It's based on, like I said, that true transition from straight to more wild hair. But the reality is we have many wild hair moments in our lives. Mm-hmm. And wild hair moments are really those moments when we come to the intersection of a crossroad. Mm-hmm. And there's a path that we can take that is built upon our authentic voice. And many times it's the more difficult path, or at least we believe it is. And then there's the other path, which is traditionally what most people do, or it's the easier route, or it's the route that allows me to be more accepted, mm-hmm. and for me to fit in and not stand out as somehow different. And I had many of those in my career, and women have them all the time, where they come to this point and there's a decision to make. And we know what our voice inside is telling us. But we've gotten so good at listening to what others want from us. Sometimes that's our families, the people we love. Sometimes that's our job. Sometimes that's society. And we buy into that, and we push that voice down. And we become so good at pushing that voice down that many times we no longer hear it.
Yeah, stuffing our emotions.
And so tapping into authenticity really comes down to 4 principles. And when I coach women, I always make sure we're dealing with these 4 areas. We're dealing with self-honesty, because we can't be authentic unless we're honest with ourselves in terms of what we want, where we want to go, what we believe about ourselves, the good and the bad of that, right? Our strengths, our weaknesses, honesty. The next piece is the courage to take what that honesty tells us about ourselves and to do something. That's what you hit upon. It's not about just having a wild hair. A wild hair doesn't mean a thing.
That's right.
Until you do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Next is the confidence to believe that this action that I'm taking is what's right for me. And when it gets challenging, I'm going to stay grounded in my strength. And I'm going to believe in myself and keep moving forward. And the last principle that I really, really make sure that all of the women I coach are grounded in is resilience.
That's right.
Because it's not easy. You didn't build your wealth, your success, your podcast with just one stroke of a pen, did you, Deb?
No.
It was resilience.
Girl,
it was work.
Yes.
And so those are the 4 principles that are core to having an authentic career and life.
Exactly. And I just want to share something. When we coach, sometimes we coach and we don't even know we're going to coach. Is that right, Tracey?
Right.
Sometimes
yes, ma'am.
We can be minding our business to the most. I got a phone. I want you to, because I just want to share this. I don't care if we go over an hour. It doesn't matter. This is our platform. It don't matter. I got a phone call, I got a text from someone. I just want you to share. I'm going to share something, and then I want you to share something, and what it looks like on the coaching side, and how do we get people to go from A to B to C to have a breakthrough in probably 1 hour. And it's doable, but you have to want to do it. You have to be true to yourself. So I have a particular person that calls me, but they call me when they want information. And this is a coach. It's a health coach, and she calls me when she wants information. And she knew that I had gotten into some other areas of development for the business, but it wasn't in coaching. It's not in coaching. It's about contracting, government, state, and city, federal. State, city, federal contracting. And so she says, well, the reason why I wasn't prepared for what she said to me. And she said to me, the reason why you're doing so good is because you became certified. I said, excuse me? So I said, wait a minute, hold on. And so I knew whenever she calls me, she's calling me for information because she wants to get into that journey. And I said, and I made her have a breakthrough moment. I said, first of all, I'm not even doing what you're doing. I'm not doing coaching. That's not what I'm doing. When you're working with federal, state, and city, you have to have a product or a service that they can use. That's point blank. And coaching is not part of that. Period. I coach because I want to coach. Has nothing to do with that. I said, so secondly, let me explain something to you. Don't look at what I'm doing. You need to follow your journey. You need to find your journey. Every time I talk to you, you call me, you're taking notes, but I know you're taking notes. I've always known you have. But I tell you what I want to share with you. That's what I do. You don't have to call me and pump me for information to get coaching, because I'm coaching you about yourself. You have to be true to who you are if you want people to be, if you want to be true and come off as a real coach. It can't be about what the next coach is doing. It has to be about what you're doing. You've got to be ready to stand up for what you believe in and be your best self and walk in your own truth and being able to relate to people, because they'll know that. Don't call me and talk to me like that. And don't say that, because that's not the way that it is. And she says, oh, well, I better find something else. I better stop and not think about this certification. I said, no, it's not about you not thinking about that certification. It's about you trying to figure out what you want to be certified in. Don't look at what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is not what you think I'm doing. So you have to figure out how and what it is that you want to do as a coach. How do you want to come off and being authentic as a coach, where you really come across to people in a real, honest way, where you really, and you need to be more humanized about the way you come off to people and not being commercial about coaching. Coaching is not commercial, it's humanized. And when, this is what I was thinking, how many times have you had to deal with something like that? You're coaching out of and then you have to also catch yourself, because you know that you cannot step out of line, even though your feelings are hurt, but you still have to stay in the mode of being professional, especially when you're coaching a sister coach, a brother coach. You can't beat them up, but you have to get them to understand, don't hurt our profession by copying. Stay true to what you want to do, and don't look for information in a way that you feel that this person really doesn't understand or know what you're doing. I'm talking to you because I want to help you, and I'm not charging you for coaching. I'm trying to help you, but you're not getting away with it. I'm truly coming from the bottom of my heart, because when God blesses you with something, it's not just for you. How many times have you had to just do that on the spur to get someone to come to be authentic in what they're doing, so they could pass through to the next level and have to catch yourself all at the same time? That happened this morning. So,
wow.
I know.
What I think you're giving your listeners a glimpse of is what I like to call truth telling. A lot of times we get these opportunities to mentor or coach that are spontaneous. They're in the moment, like what you had.
Yes.
And what I think really kind of transitions people from lift